Hey there, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations, and we're going to be working on a Christmas craft. And I'm showing it to you this early because if you love it, then you have some time to collect the glassware that you need for this. Now, I am going to start with this piece. Now, you could use a candlestick as the base. This actually is a light. So, you know, for some kind of a candle and that sort of thing, but it's nice and sturdy. So I need this. We're going to build a Christmas tree. And because I need things to dry in between layers, so you need some kind of a base. And then in essence, you need bowls in multiple sizes going up. But you also need spacers. So I have some glass candlesticks and I have some little salt cellars. And then I have a little glass bell for the top of my tree. So for my base, and this just becomes a mix and match kind of thing. These are all thrifted items. So I wasn't going nuts spending anything crazy on this, although it starts to add up a little bit. And for this, I'm going to use E6000. So I'm going to put it around the rim of this. And I'm going to kind of work from the bottom up and the top down. So I want to have, well, you know, in technical terms, a whack-a-glue. Because this, by the time it's done, is going to have some weight to it. So I want to make sure, especially here on the base, that these things are sticking together. So I'm going to glue my bowl on and kind of centering it. And that's awesome. Now, I have the opportunity right now to also work on the top. And this is going to be my top. So I'm going to get that going and have that dry overnight. So my preference for this craft is that we respect the drying time, because we don't want things shifting on us. So I'm going to set that off to the side to dry. Now, what comes next is this bowl, but you can see if I just place this bowl directly on there, it's not great. But if I use one of my glass candlesticks on there, now I get the spacing and it creates kind of that tiered look. So for this, because this is pretty stationary, I am going to glue this one down and I'm going to leave that. Now we put this off to the side. So that one, we're done gluing that for now. This part is going to go on top, but the next piece is going to be this, which is, I think it's an ashtray. If I did this one, even this way, then it starts to become too high. So this is where my little salt cellar comes in, because that's just about the right height for there. So I am just going to glue that one in place. Yeah, we can do it that way. And have that one drying. So again, the technical whack of glue. And then I'm going to put that off to dry. This one, which is going to be the next layer, has this on top. But obviously that's not going to be sufficient. And neither is that. So we need, hang on, is that the right way? Yes, this is where it's like, okay, what are my components here? So we need to get this glued on because this is what comes next. That's correct. Did I have one other piece? No, this is what I wanted. But to make that one work, I needed to tier one more up. So see how that gives it the spacing that it needs? So I'm going to glue on both those pieces and then leave that to dry overnight. So none of this is super complicated. I gotta tell you, the hardest part, if you don't buy the bowls all at the same time, is trying to kind of figure out what size bowls you have at home and not overbuying sizes or duplicating sizes that don't work together. All right, and so now we're gonna glue this guy on top of that, and then we're gonna let those pieces all sit and dry. Oh, lid off. Oh my gosh. All right, and then we let that dry. And then we'll need to glue more pieces and let them dry. So really what's going to happen is we'll glue this piece onto the top of our base, let it dry, glue this top onto this piece, let them dry. So those two pieces will be drying, and then we can do the final piece on top and let it dry. If you get too much weight all at once, they do have a tendency to start shifting. So as much as it might seem like we're kind of dragging it out a little bit, it's worth it. So in fact, tomorrow, when I first come into the shop tomorrow, I can glue these respective pieces on, and then at the end of the day, they'll be firmed up enough that I can do the final gluing. So it doesn't take as long as it may seem, and it's not certainly taking any more than kind of less than 24 hours to do the whole thing. It's just a function of when you start. I'm kind of starting this toward the end of this day, so that's why we're waiting overnight. But I think it's going to be really cool and lovely, heavy, but lovely. Okay, you can see these have had a chance to dry, and they're really quite sturdy. I mean, when this is all completed, I would want to pick up the whole thing by the base, not by the top, so don't go crazy. But they really are quite firmly placed. E6000 is awesome. So this next step that I'm doing at the beginning of my work shift is going to be to get the next layer glued onto the base. So this is our next layer of our tree. I just want to, I'm loving this, that piece, and then our top onto this piece. Ultimately, before I leave, I will glue this piece onto this piece, leave them to dry over Thanksgiving, just because it happens to be Thanksgiving, not for any other major reason beyond that. And then we'll take a look. We'll see when I get back here on Monday. This is our finished tree. I gotta tell you, I love this. I love the look of it. I love the simplicity of it. I love it done with the glass crystal pieces. But you could also do this with ceramic bowls. And then you could be looking for not only the different sizes and shapes. I love how some are scalloped and it adds some definition, but if you've got ceramic bowls, then you're going to be able to create kind of a patterning. You could do, this is a red bowl with polka dots. This is a green one with snowflakes. This is a red and white striped. I mean, you could do it with colors and patterning. You could do it in blue and white. So think beyond just the plain crystal. You could go with all kinds of different looks just by varying the substance, right? So whether it's colored glass, whether it's clear glass, whether it's just plain glass or crystal, whether it's colored ceramics. What about pottery? So it's all an earthenware look. I mean, there's a lot of options, and no two are ever going to be alike unless you're using exactly the same bowls and the exact same sizes. I thrifted all of these pieces. And don't forget some of those little spacer elements that we used, which were little salt dishes or little candlesticks that we used. If you were using an opaque, I chose to use all glass so you could see those spacers. So I didn't want to use wood or something colored. So I used all glass. But if you were using ceramic pottery and you have your bowls that go over and kind of hide whatever you're using for spacers, then you could use pieces of wood or whatever you want, because they're not going to be as visible or as noticeable as what I chose to do. So there's lots of options with this and lots of ways to be able to make numerous ones, all that are completely different, all completely unique, have their own personalities. And I think this is great. Now, obviously, I always pick it up from the bottom. It's got some heft to it. I will not be looking at shipping this because that would just be crazy making and asking for trouble, and I'm not looking for trouble where I don't need it. But I love the look of this, and adding this into a vignette with some greenery and other elements with it is just going to be stunning. Let me know what you think. As always, love to hear from you. Definitely looking forward to seeing you on the next one. And I'm just going to keep admiring it for a while. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Take care.